Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Ramble Women's Show. I'm jumping in the host's seat at very short notice because Bryan's trying to get onto StreamYard. That's his excuse anyway. He probably forgot and he's now winding up his computer. But as ever, we're joined by two stalwarts of the Rangers women's team, the forces behind the Rangers Football Club Women's Supporters Group. You see that I even did that without having it written down. There you go. Laura and Carl. Laura, good evening. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks. And Carl?
I can't complain.
Good. But you finish your dinner just in time to come on as well, which is good.
It's a bit late.
Yeah, so, and good evening to everybody in the comments. Paul and Graham in quite sharp. Alan, I know Alan won't be in the comments tonight. He's currently at the San Siro watching Inter Milan against Girona. So, lucky him. It's nice if you can get it, I suppose. And then ridiculously, he's flying back tomorrow to fly out to Lisbon on Wednesday. I don't really get that. You could have gone from Milan to Lisbon, but it's up to him, I suppose. Anyway, Carl, we'll start with you. Meadowbank yesterday. I'll start padding while I find the team. Will you just talk about the game?
It was quite a good game. Normally when we go to Hibs away, it's quite a tight game. We struggle to score more than one goal more than them most of the time, so it was quite nice. So we got a few goals, a good performance. Rio back on the score sheet, Mia with 2 goals, because that's just what Mia does these days. She just scores wonder goals all the time, and everyone came out of it unscathed, thankfully, after we thought Kathy'd maybe taken a sore one off the post, but thankfully she was all right and should be okay for doing it all again next Sunday.
Yeah. Laura, as Carl says, a good win at Meadowbank. But before we go on to talk about the game, what about that as a venue?
Horrendous. Probably the worst venue that we go to. It's just so far back for the pitch with that running track, and they were literally like an hour before kickoff. Before they were like, yeah, most are kind of like, oh, you're here, so like just come in. They were like dead on like notes an hour before kickoff. Just the parking's ridiculous. It's just they need to find somewhere else. I know it's quite close to like Easter Road, so obviously it's near their kind of home ground for the men when the women play there, but it's absolutely horrendous otherwise, and I can't believe we're actually having to go back there this weekend as well. But hey ho, that's the way it's fell for us, so we'll just need to kind of go on with it, I suppose.
Yeah,
they could give Livingston some money when they played there before they played at the Spaghetti Head, so maybe they could just go back to there and that would be better for everyone involved.
Yeah, but I'd imagine the fans probably complain because I'd imagine that most of the Hibs fans would be kind of Edinburgh, that end of Edinburgh based, and obviously Livingston's the other side of Edinburgh, it's the west side of Edinburgh, so I'd imagine they probably didn't find that particular. I mean, it's as handy for them as Broadwood is for us, really, I suppose. You know, from that point of view, it's probably an equal sort of distance. But yeah, it's first time I've been there since I've done it up, and it wasn't great before. But at least before you sat high, so you can look across the pitch because the stand was quite high before. But now it's because it's on the ground level. It's just horrendous. I just didn't enjoy it at all. I mean, the game was good. Don't get me wrong, we played well, but as a venue, I'm not really selling it well for next week, but anyway, the venue's not great. But we will be back next week. Cracking chance to do a wee double header with the two cup quarterfinals. You know, it would be interesting actually to have a look back. I've not actually thought about doing it till just now, whether there's been a double header like that. You know, men's and women's teams playing the same opposition away from home. You know what I mean, within venues so close at the same time, and because I don't think it's very often that the cup ties are on the same weekend. You know, like the women's cup ties are the same weekend as the men's cup ties. I don't think that falls very often, but I mean, I could be making that up. But anyway, I found the team. So yesterday against the Hibernian, Rangers lined up with Jenna Fife in goal, back three as is sort of the sort of tradition this weather. Nick Docherty, Kath Hill, Tess Medag. Then we had Rachel Rowe. I'm just going to read it because I'm not going to do what Laura did in your pod and try and do it by position because then I'll end up missing somebody out. So Rachel Rowe, Jane Ross, Mia McCauley, Sarah Ewins, Chelsea Cornett, Liv McLaughlin, and Jodie McCleary. So, Carl, when you saw that, were you happy enough with that? Given it was we're quite light on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, other than maybe Rio starting, probably the strongest team we can go with right now, other than maybe Vic playing. But we're assuming Vic's going to play next week as the cup keeper, so keeping her fresh for that. But other than that, as you say, we're very light, due to the injuries we've got at the moment. Nice to get a wee update from Jo earlier in the week with what's going on with and Michelle Coulson herself telling us what's going on with hers. So we know what's kind of happening now, where everyone is, but just very light on the bench. So probably the strongest team other than maybe Rio up top, but who knows what's going on there. But yeah, strong team, happy with.
Yeah, Laura, before we get into the game, Carl touched on the injuries. We did actually get an update from Jo. With the injuries, would you like to talk us all through them? Because you're bound to know them better than I will.
Libby's out with her hamstring, should be back soon because she's already been out for a month or so already. The two Kirsties and Rachel were all knee injuries, but of varying lengths that they're going to be out. Rachel's had surgery. Well, they've all had surgery, I think, other than Kirsty Howitt. But Kirsty Howitt should be back for the cup final. Rachel McLaughlin should be there or thereabouts, and Kirsty McLean will be out for a few months. And is that everybody?
Yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, obviously key players out, which isn't ideal. Kirsty McLean being injured kind of longer term, really no ideal, but Liv's kind of came in and filled in quite well, so she's no Kirsty McLean, but she'll do.
Yeah. So, Carl, Laura touches on a good point there that one or two of them should be back for the cup final in 3 weeks' time. So, let's just hypothetically say 2 or 3 of them make it back. Do they walk straight back into the team for the cup final?
Well, Kirsty McLean does. I mean, if she's on one leg, Kirsty McLean walks back into. Oh no, she's not. All right,
she won't be back.
Ignore that. Then probably not really, with the form that Kathy Hill's been in and Tess filling in the back line. I don't know. I'm talking about the back line. None of them are defenders. I'm talking about nonsense here.
Rachel McLaughlin is.
Aye, but she's a winger, so.
Oh, but she's where she plays.
I mean, yeah, Kathy can move back in the centre back and move Tess up. I don't know. It depends how much they're back before that. If they're not back before that game, I don't see them starting that game. I mean, you probably go with the strongest team and then maybe give them some minutes towards the end. Like Kirsty Howitt, potentially if she's back for that, put her on the second half. She's always good for scoring a goal at Tynecastle. She did it last year, so probably a good idea. But I genuinely don't know with how well everyone's been doing. I don't know if anybody walks straight back in at this point other than Kirsty McLean when she's back, because they've all done really well.
Yeah, I think the team, Laura, I think the team is doing well enough considering the injuries that we've got. And obviously, something else you touched on, Michelle Coulson has decided to take a break from football.
Yeah, she has, which we'd kind of put 2 and 2 together because if you follow her on like Instagram and that, she's doing a lot of like business chat and cryptocurrency and all this, whatever all this nonsense means. But so we kind of wondered because she wasn't in the squad. We were like, well, we're kind of light at the back, but she's nowhere to be seen. But she seems to have fallen into love with the game a wee bit, so she's decided to step away from football and focus on her own kind of business ventures now, and she'll maybe return to football one day, but currently she's looking at other avenues, so we wish her all the best, obviously, but sad to see her go because she did play quite well when she was on. She scored for us and that, but obviously if she's no feeling it, then there's no point sticking around just for the sake of it, really.
Yeah, Carl, do you think it might just be a case if she came over to Scotland and just didn't settle in? Just didn't take it. I mean, the impression from what she put on her Instagram that I got was that she wanted to take a break before she completely fell out of love with the game, which means probably is a chance of her coming back. But I don't know. Could it possibly be a case if she just came over to Scotland and went, nah, this really isn't for me, and it's probably the only way she could see to get out?
I mean, it could have been the fact that she came in and, Jo's here now and we're kind of trying to do things fully professionally in the sense of nutrition and fitness and all that kind of stuff. And with her statement, it kind of gave the impression that was maybe too much for her and it lent her down kind of a darker path in terms of having an eating disorder and whatever. Fair play to her for admitting that, because a lot of players maybe would just say, oh, I don't like football anymore, I'm away. So, fair play for that. But I don't know. It could have been a lot of things. She didn't seem to be favoured, but then again, that could have been because of everything going on that Joe wasn't picking her, maybe just giving her a chance to figure out what she wanted to do. I guess we'll never really know, but it is a shame because she looked quite good when I did see her play. I quite liked her. I thought she was quite a good, defensively, and even she scored a couple of goals, so I quite liked her. So fair play to her for that, and hopefully this business stuff takes off or whatever, and then she goes and maybe comes back to football one day, because she's definitely got talent there. So it's quite a shame that she's had to do this, but fair play to her for admitting that and walking away while she kind of can before she gets kind of older and doesn't have these opportunities she could with her business and whatever.
Yeah, it does take a lot of bottle to do what she did, but anyway, we'll get on to the game. Well, the game started, it was a bit kind of, it wasn't the most entertaining start. It was chances at both ends, nothing really to write home about. And then, but midway through the first half, more or less, almost a carbon copy of the goal against Celtic at Ibrox a couple of weeks ago. Rachel Rowe plays a ball and takes a really good touch, edge of the box, plays the ball into Mia McCauley, who this time takes a touch before smashing it into the corner, whereas at Ibrox she just hit it first time, but an absolutely stunning goal again.
Yeah, and it seems to be we're kind of getting accustomed to Mia. She's just that good way, like the way she touches the ball and kind of brings players into play and stuff like that. So it was a really good goal, and obviously before that Rachel Rowe had kind of tried to score as well, and then I think she thought, right, I'll just assist because the scoring bit's not really working. So a lovely ball again through, like how Rachel Rowe does it as well. Like she must just sit and practice that like all week or whatever. But no, Mia's just coming at really a good bit of form exactly when we're needing it, and when we're so light with other players being out. It's good that she's stepping up, taking her opportunity, and it's going to be difficult for other players to come in and take that top back off her, because I think she's kind of claimed that spot now.
Yeah, I think she has, Carl. But do you think there's an argument that to possibly take her out the team and give her a bit of a rest? Maybe rotate her out a little bit, or would you just persist with playing her? I mean, she's only 17, so really she shouldn't need a rest. But that seems to be the way of it these days with football, isn't it?
I mean, Joe seems to like to rotate a little bit, but whether it's a case of Rachel Rowe will get arrested and Mia will be put in the middle, and then Jodie or Brogan or Lizzie or whoever will then be the winger instead, because I think Joe really likes Mia and what she brings to the team, her energy, or getting forward. I mean, her touches are fantastic. The way she scores those goals is just incredible. So I don't see Joe taking her out of the team anytime soon, unless she's potentially, wearing down a little bit and needs a rest herself. But I mean, I wouldn't be taking her out anytime soon. I love Brogan, so it's harsh for me to be saying, oh, well, I think Brogan shouldn't be in the team, it should be Mia. But there needs to be a way to balance it so they can both be in the team at the same time, because they're both so frightening. But Mia's definitely taking it just now that it's hers, and there's no really stopping her at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get on to it in a bit when we get further into the game. But Mia did the last 20 minutes from the fabled number 10 position when they brought Lizzie on, they moved her in the park. But as the first half, we'll get to that. As the first half progressed, Laura, one or two other chances, and Hibs pressed after about 40 minutes. We thought that Kathy Hill cleared one away, and we thought that she'd actually cracked her head off the post, but it was actually our knee, because we saw it after the game, and it's not wasn't the nicest picture you've ever seen. It was quite. I mean, there was no particular damage to it. It just looked quite red and quite sore. I think she'll be suffering with that one today.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose in a way it's kind of good that it wasn't a head knock, because we were like, how has she managed to get back up and play on? But she said that she kind of covered her face with her hands, and then obviously it was her knee that we heard cracking off the post. But I think she'll be sitting with the ice on that all day, kind of letting the swelling go down and kind of healing that bruise. But she's made the tough stuff as Kathy, so I'm sure she'll be fighting fit back at training, firing in the tackles and getting everybody fired up for the weekend.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Cara, I sort of expected, because we didn't know at the time it was her knee. We kind of thought it was her head. I thought, okay, she's going to tough it out to half time, and then we'll probably see Lisa coming on for her at half time, or maybe Joe would do some other fancy messing about with the team. But as Laura says, Kathy's made a tougher stuff for that. She just came on, she just got on with the game, and she actually had a really, really good performance in spite of nearly losing her knee to the post.
I know, because I expected she'd have to go off the sidelines at least and get some kind of treatment, but she was straight up, grabbed the ball, put it down for the free kick, and was like, "Come on, let's get going." She was not messing about at all. Was Kathy? I mean, she's had such good games the last few games. She's just been incredible this season, much better than last season, I will say. And she just definitely, technically and just all round, has been a lot better. But obviously, with her knee injury at the end of last season? Yeah, last season. She had to give surgery on her knee. It's a bit of a worry there, but she's obviously fine because she ran it off for the whole rest of the game and was absolutely fine. So no worries there, and hopefully the swelling goes down for Sunday and she'll be back flying into tackles and screaming at the ref once again.
Yeah, sticking with you, Carl. Do you think that the three at the back suits Kathy, suits the way she's playing, or is she just adapted to it and just getting on with it?
I can't really say one way or another whether it's better or if she worked better with somebody in beside her, but it was a worry because we did think with only Kathy being the lone centre back, would that be a concern going into some games? But she's just absolutely, gripped it with both hands and had no problems with it at all. So for me, I don't think she's either, it took her a couple of games to get used to it, and now she's absolutely fine with it. It doesn't really make much difference, but she doesn't seem to have hurt her or hindered her at all, having only her at the back.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people move off Kathy, as Carl says, she's only due to a recognised centre back, but there was at one point in the first half yesterday, as we got towards half time, she was almost playing as an outside right, to use the old parlance. You'll not have a clue what an outside right is, but she was kind of on the right hand side of midfield, charging forward. She was almost sort of playing through the midfield, and she was just a centre back. I mean, she's an incredible athlete. The way that she gets up and down the park, and she can just move about the pitch, and she just seems to pop up absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's testament to the work that Joe and the sports scientists and that are doing, because they've obviously kind of taken on board their nutrition and fitness and all that kind of thing into play this season, which you can see because they're all looking a lot leaner and meaner as they're running up and down the pitch. And Kathy and Nick both kind of set up quite high, leaving obviously Tess is the only centre back that is back. But then that's when Chelsea and whoever's in beside her, whether it be Kirsty or Liv, are kind of that supporting, kind of as if they kind of go back into centre back positions to help out Tess. So it just shows the versatility of the full team, really, that they can all kind of, Kathy and Nick can push up, but they know that they're still going to be sound at the back because Tess is supported by the midfielders who, whatever one's sitting a bit deeper. So it kind of confuses the opposition in that as well because they kind of don't know what to expect because we're just so versatile, all over the pitch now, which is obviously really good.
Yeah, and back to the game, Carl. Just I can't remember if it was before or after Kathy collided with the post, but there was Hibs had a chance that we all thought that Jenna had made a magnificent save. It looked to all the world that she'd put it onto the bar and then it went over. We couldn't understand why the referee gave a goal kick. We haven't watched back the highlights. I know why he gave the goal kick because she didn't actually save it.
I don't think the ref really knew. I think he was just kind of guessing. He got a bit lucky that she, but genuinely did it. I mean, I guess you stick your hand up, it's going to look like she saves it. And I was giving her all the credit in the world yesterday, saying she had her best game for us this season. And I'm not going to take it back. She did have quite a good game, but that save looked like a magnificent save, and it's not. It's just hit the crossbar. But Hibs were threatening. There was moments where they were getting forward and taking shots, but didn't really come to anything, and we didn't seem too troubled by it. But it opened them up a bit, which then gave us options. There was a couple of times they broke, and then we just lobbed the ball down to Sarah Ewens or whoever to potentially get a counter, but it never really came to much because Sarah didn't. She struggled a little bit, I'd say. She probably had a better game than she has had, but she struggled a little bit with it. But Hibs had a few chances, but didn't come to much.
Yeah, well, I think Carl's been a bit harsh when she says we just lobbed it up because it was more of we sort of picked passes at the strikers. I know what you meant. I'm just clarifying to people who didn't actually see the game. It was more that we're not just thumping it up the park and saying hopefully somebody's on the end of that.
No.
Every one of the defenders are, they're passing the balls fantastic. They're not just lumping it. They're actually looking for people, and they're not overhitting them. They're hitting them. It's some of the clearances are. I mean, they're leading to goals quite a lot of the time. I mean, it's the ability of the defenders to actually pick out a pass is incredible.
Yeah, it's clearly intentional and something that they're working on, that Jenna can pick out Sarah Ewens up front, Nick can pick out Rio Hardy, and it's leading to goals. So, it's obviously something that they're working on, and we know that, like say, Nick can whip the ball from one end of the pitch to the next, and she can sometimes even score for like really far out and that. So they know they definitely know what they're doing. It's clearly something that they are working on in training, so that we have got, if it's not working with a low block, then we've got these balls that we can whip in, and either Jane or Rio or whoever gets their head on it, and it can lead to goals as well. So we've got plenty of options kind of all over the park with the balls and ways that we can play.
Yep. So that was at 1-0 at half time. With Mia's goal, we managed to keep the clean sheet. There was couple of saves from both goalkeepers as the half wore on. The second half started much the same as the first half had started. There was a lot of attritional stuff in the middle of the park. Not really that a lot happening. There was a bit of a stramash very early in the second half, 2 or 3 minutes in, the ball kind of bobbed about the Hibs box, but we just couldn't do anything with it. And then just before the hour mark, the first change of the day, Jane went off and Rio Hardy came on.
Yeah, we were talking amongst ourselves. Is it going to be, Sarah, or is it going to be Jane? We didn't know, and we were all kind of saying it's got to be Sarah, surely. Like, she wasn't having a great game. Neither was Jane, to be fair. Wasn't having her best game, but obviously it ended up being Jane. And then, what was it, 20 seconds later? Am I jumping ahead here? Is that what you wanted me to do? Go and talk about the goal?
When you go,
All right, okay. 20 seconds later, Nick lobs a ball, not from the halfway line, but fairly close up to Rio. I think it's aimed for one of them. Rio takes a touch and then just absolutely blasts it at the near post past the goalkeeper. Probably should have done better, but I don't think she knew much about it, to be honest. And I think that's exactly what Rio needed. She needed that goal as soon as she's back from the break, get the goals coming again, because she hadn't scored in a few games. So I think that did the world of good. And on social media after the game, a lot of her teammates were giving her a bit of stick, being like about time and all that, because she hadn't scored in a few games. So it's nice to see, and hopefully that gets her going again, get more goals for us, and we'll be fine going into the split.
Yeah, Laura, as Carl says, it was a great ball through from Nick, and Rio managed to outmuscle the defenders that were about him. Just absolutely rattled it off the near post, and it's one of them. If you don't catch it right, it hits the face of the post and goes back out. But she caught it absolutely bonny, straight onto the inside of the post at nestled in the bottom corner. A tremendous goal, and just what she needed after, I don't know, 4 or 5 games without a goal.
Yeah, it's one of the kind of strikes that recently she's been doing, but it's been kind of hitting off the post or going wide or whatever. So it was about time that kind of one was going in. But it's good that she's had that kind of break to kind of rest, came back in, and then obviously managed to score. So that will give her a kind of boost of confidence. Obviously, Jane's been in amongst the goals as well. Sarah Ewens has been doing really well with her link-up play and that as well. It's just a matter of time before she gets a few goals. So, they're all kind of coming good after the international break now, which is always good to see.
Yeah, and Laura, the next big chance came about 10 minutes later when again it was Rio hit a thumping shot down towards the Hibs goalkeeper, and it was actually a really probably the save of the game. Really good save when she knocked it away.
Yeah, the keeper made quite a few saves, as we kind of keep saying. They seem to save their best saves for against us, but she made a couple of good saves. Or could have been more for like a higher score for us, but we just need to keep kind of taking the chances that we get, and obviously we did then go on to score another goal, which was good for like the goal difference and that. But we're getting plenty of chances in that. It's just a matter of getting them in the back of the net.
Yeah, and Carl, a question from Graham, who could have asked us this at the game yesterday because he was standing beside us. But anyway, what did the panel think of the Rio Sarah link up? It seemed to work well yesterday. And to caveat that, John Weir, evening John, says she thought Ewan's link up play was good yesterday. So Rio and Sarah linking up once after Rio come on.
Yeah, I think that they probably work better than Jane and Sarah work together. I think it's not as good a partnership as Rio and Sarah, but I think Sarah is more kind of that, I'll get the ball, I'll put it where it needs to go, and then you'll score the goal rather than being the one that will go and take all the shots and try and score as many goals as she possibly can, kind of thing. But she runs really well. And she takes balls really well. She just doesn't have that final bit for me where she kind of gets caught on her feet a little bit too much, I think. But she's still kind of learning. She's had a few injuries. I won't give her too much stick for it. But we've obviously got better strikers, in my opinion, up there. But she does. She works well in a partnership, I think, which is the main point, isn't it? She'll get the ball for the other people beside her and they'll score the goals.
Yeah, Laura, it was a question for the panel, and as you're part of the panel, what do you think of the link-up play between the two of them yesterday after Rio came on?
It's not quite Rio and Kirsty Hewitt, but it'll do for now until Kirsty's back inside with Rio. But no, Sarah's she done quite well yesterday, I would say, and she did have, I think it saves Rio coming deep, where Rio likes to be that kind of one in around the 6-yard box, just tapping like balls home. So Sarah's quite willing to kind of roll her sleeves up and do the dirty work for Rio, just to kind of get them put on a plate, and she sticks them away. So works well for that aspect. I think it works better than Sarah and Jane, or Rio and Jane, because Jane and Rio are kind of similar players, that they both want to just be the ones scoring the goals and not doing much of the dirty work. So Sarah and one of the two, and it probably works quite well.
Yes, Paul says Sarah doesn't have the killer instinct. That's it for me. I mean, I think she's more a I don't know, an attacker than a striker. She's not the one to particularly put the ball in the net, but she certainly doesn't mind doing the hard yard, doing the graft for the goal scorers, if you like. So it would be nice if she could add a few more goals to her game, but I'm sure that's Carl says. I'm sure that'll come. Anyway, back to the action from yesterday. 72 minutes, Rangers make another couple of changes. Brogan Hay, Lizzie Arnott come on for Jodie McCleary and Rachel Roca. What did you think of the substitutions there? Rachel Rogan off for me was a bit of a surprise.
It was, but then she moved Mia in, so it didn't really change too much. But Rachel Rose has been incredible for us all season since she came in, really. But I think it's more just about game management for everyone. We've got a lot of games coming up, important games this month, so it's about managing everybody's minutes and making sure you're not fatiguing too many players so that everybody gets a chance. And should we need them, God forbid something happens to one of the other players, we've got ready-made players there to kind of step in. But I will say all of them I thought had a really good game yesterday. There isn't anyone that I really thought had a bad game at all. I think everybody chipped in where they needed to be. It was quite a scrappy game at times. Jodie was doing really well when she was on, getting down that wing, getting down that side and putting balls in. Everyone did really well, but Rachel Rowe is just an outstanding player who we've got to keep for the next 10 years, because she just offers us so much more in that another number 10 position. It's just incredible what she gives us. But Mia seems to do quite well when she jumps in there as well. So we're all right. It doesn't matter who you put in there, they'll all be okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Laura, by this time, Mia's come in, because obviously Lizzie's come on, Mia's gone, as we said earlier, Mia's gone into the number 10, playing kind of one off the striker, if you like. But 5 minutes later, as we were just saying about Sarah Ewan's been good on the as a supply chain. She's a great driver on up the park. She gets fouled with the ball, but the ball breaks, and Mia McCauley's there again to get her second and our third goal of the game.
Yeah, and it's just, as we were saying earlier, like Mia's just in that bit of form that everything's just fallen right for her now, and it just shows again she's only like 17 years old, but the versatility she's got to even get moved into a number 10, and she's still managing to find positions and goal scoring opportunities for herself. So it just shows the trust that Joe has in her as well, to kind of say, well, I'm actually going to keep you on, we'll move your position to kind of accommodate other players, but she's obviously trusted her in multiple positions now, because she knows the kind of qualities that she's got, and she just keeps showing them. So she's just a wee superstar, to be honest.
Yeah, she is. Something I forgot to mention after Rio's goal. I don't know if you've watched back the highlights, but if you watch Rio's goal, if you look at the little ball girl behind the goal, she can't stop herself from celebrating when Rio scored the second goal. I thought that was quite funny, given it was now one of the ball girls behind the goals jumps up as soon as the ball hits the net. In fact, as soon as the ball hit the post, she jumped up. I thought that was quite funny. I noticed that this morning when I was watching it back. So as a game obviously Peters, I mean, 3-0, the game's done, and I mean 3-0, Carl, as you said in your own podcast, it's quite nice to go to Meadowbank and watch more than a goal. In fact, it might have been Alan that said that, actually. Quite nice to go and watch, see us win by more than a goal. It was quite refreshing to get a few. Keeping a clean sheet was quite nice as well. With 4 or 5 minutes to go, we made the more substitutions. We brought on Lisa Martinez and Ailey Austin to get a little bit of game time. We took off Nick and Kathy Hill. I mean, Kathy, obviously, as we said, we expected to go off at half time at the very latest, and then Nick getting a rest. I suppose it's just a few minutes to get the game's finished, and that was about it. 3 minutes added time, and a solid enough performance, and we go again at Meadowbank on Sunday.
Yeah, you couldn't really ask for much more, could you? Hibs has just always been one of those teams, bar when they came to Ibrox and we blew them away, that we've always kind of struggled. There's been 1 or maybe 2 goals in it, and it's always been tight, scrappy affairs. So it's quite nice to just go out comfortable the whole game, no real issues, and be back after the international break enjoying a good game of football. It's quite refreshing, because I was expecting to go and it be another 1-0 or 2-1 or tight games, but nice to see Nick getting a rest, because obviously she was away in international. I mean, half of them were, to be fair, but Nick was away and played, I think, both games for Scotland, so didn't get much of a rest. So probably quite nice that she gets a few minutes rest and then give Lisa some minutes, who I expected probably to get more game time because she did the media this week, which generally means she'll be starting or she'll be getting more minutes, and that obviously wasn't the case, but never mind. I'm sure there's always next week and the next few months for her to get some more game time, but couldn't really complain at all about that game, really, other than if you're a Hibs fan. But I did enjoy after the game, all, as you're saying about the ball girls, all of them were swarming Mia, Rio, Nick, all of them came running over to our players, didn't really care about any of the Hibs players, were straight over to our players, which I find quite interesting. But we're the biggest show in town, so what can you expect?
Yeah, I noticed they got a sort of team pick of all of them together with Kathy and I'm trying to think who else. Kathy and Nick, just as at the end of the game, before they all started running about with their autograph books getting, and it's great. I mean, it's great that they're that interested in it and they know who the players are, and it's fantastic, great for the club. I mean, the only thing, Laura, on the substitutions, I would have thought if you're going to give the likes of Ailey and the likes, a wee bit of game time, when the third goal goes in and the game's effectively done, for me, you'd probably better bringing them on then, giving them a decent amount of time as opposed to 4 or 5 minutes at the end.
Yeah, and I think they would have preferred like 10, 15 minutes as opposed to 4 minutes. And I think by the time they came on, it was only a few minutes, really, because there wasn't much added time. But it's one of the things. I think Joe's still kind of learning the kind of game management side of like substitutions and that. There's been a few times that we'll have kind of been questioning our substitutions where we've not really questioned much because she's not done much wrong. But I think that is one kind of aspect that she maybe could work on a bit with letting players come on, knowing when they should be coming off a bit earlier, especially when Kathy's taking such a knock to her knee. At least give her a good bit of time off, because Ailey's more than capable of coming on and filling in that position, especially when the game's pretty much done.
Yep, and Carl, before we go to have a look at next Sunday's return trip to Meadowbank, good question here from John Weir. I could wax lyrical about this for a long time because, as usual, I quite like Liv McLaughlin. What's your thoughts on Olivia McLaughlin, giving her Sunday name on a Monday? She's not any, but she looks a decent wee player.
She does. She's looked really good. And the first couple of games, I thought she wasn't quite there yet. But I don't know what I was expecting. She hasn't had a lot of game time for Aston Villa, so I don't know. I was expecting her to come up and just blow us all away, being from down south. But she's really improved, and everything about her game in terms of getting the ball forward. But even the defensive stuff, she was all over them yesterday, flying into tackles and taking the ball in tight areas and doing all she needed to do. I'm starting to kind of really like her, which is really sad because she's probably going to leave and then never come back and go back down to England, and I'll fall in love with another lone player, as I always do. But she looks really good. She seems to be enjoying it here, seems to be having a good bond with all the players, which is always nice to see. So always good to see we get players up and seem to have great fun when they come to us.
Yeah, Laura, what's your take on the way Liv's playing?
Yeah, I think she's really good. She's kind of, as we said, she's no any, but she's come in and done a good job. I think that first kind of game, you're expecting, because Libby Banks came in and hit the ground running and scored a couple of goals, you're maybe expecting that to be the same kind of thing. But well, she's done really well. She performed. I think she got player of the match against Celtic at Ibrox. So she's done really well, and she's up for player of the month this month as well. So it just shows that she's getting recognised kind of across the board, not just in amongst like us talking about it at games and stuff. And we chatted to her after the game yesterday as well, and she does really seem to be enjoying it. So I think it'll be a shame to see her go back down the road, but she's still only 19, so there's a chance we might be able to get another loan in there or something. We'll need to wait.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. I mean, she is what you'd expect her to be, given that she's coming from, as Carl says, she's coming from Aston Villa. She's not going to be a bad player because she's played. She has played for Villa, so it's not as if she's just like a fringe player or whatever. She has played for them, so you would expect it to be probably, I don't know, better than some of what we had, and certainly better than most of the other players in the league. But yeah, I mean, I think she's tremendous. I still wish she'd play a little bit further forward, but what she does well. She's not scared to, as Carl says, scared of winning the challenges. She's really good on the ball. You know what I mean? I think for me, she's got the trick. She loves turning play. Once she gets the ball, she loves just turning players outside, inside, and but she's not too flash with it. For me, I just think she's a tremendous player. But as John said, she's not any, but she'll do for just now. So, Laura, we're back at Meadowbank on Sunday at 12 o'clock. So it's a really, really early start for some of us, but that's the way it goes. Are you expecting more of the same, or do you think there'll be changes? Is it just a case of get it won because it's a cup tie, or do you think we'll go same again, or will there be a number of changes in the team?
I don't think we can change it too much because we're quite thin on the ground anyway with so many players out. But I think Vic, as she's been the kind of cup keeper, she'll probably come in. Maybe Lisa will come in and get some minutes, maybe even in the second half, she'll maybe get more if the game's kind of wrapped up like it was at the weekend. But I think the way we're going to play will just be more of the same. Why kind of change a lot when it worked at the weekend? So Vic will probably be the main change, and then it'll be more, I think, the same for the team, and then maybe make changes in the second half like we done in the last round of the cup. But I think we'll be all right. A few goals again.
Carl, do you think Hibs might be up for it a little bit more, given that yesterday was a league game and they're fairly settled where they are, kind of almost mid-table in the league, whereas next week's a cup tie, and that's I mean, Hibs traditionally do well in the cups, particularly the Scottish Cup. So do you think they might be, for that reason, they might be a bit more kind of fired up for it?
I mean, I think so, because it's probably their last opportunity to go and win something this season to get to the next round and potentially progress to the final. So I think they'll probably be a bit more up for it. But if they come out to play football, that's going to leave us so much more space to nip in and get more goals. So as much as they might go for it, it'd probably help us in a way. Not that they sat too much in, but they were quite defensively strong yesterday, whereas if they open up, it could help us. But it's the magic of the cup, isn't it? Anything could happen, and I'm just hoping that doesn't happen, obviously. But Hibs are notorious for winning lots of cups in years gone by, not so much recently. So you never know what could happen, but just get the game won by half time, and then we can make some changes and give Lisa and that with some more minutes and see what happens. But I'd imagine Joe won't change that much. We just go and play our game and let other teams do whatever they're doing, and then we'll figure it out once it happens. So it shouldn't really be a problem.
So how many are we going to win it by then?
Like the score, or how many goals are we going to score more than them?
Well, how many? What's the score going to be? Yeah, well, they're not going to score. So how many are we going to score?
No, 2-0. I can't remember. I think I said Mia to score again on the other pod, so I'll stick with it. 2-0, Mia to score the opener.
Okay, Laura, what do you think we'll do on Sunday? Is it 2? Is it 3? Are we going to go to town on them?
Go for another 3-0. Probably Rio starting, Rio scoring, and into the next round.
That'll do. I quite fancy a repeat of 3-0 as well. And it'd be quite nice if Liv McLaughlin got the opening goal. I'd quite like that. But that's enough of the first of the first team. Obviously, there was also a massive game for the under-16s yesterday, prior to us kicking off at Meadowbank. And as Paul said earlier on, massive shout out to the under-16s who beat that other mob in the cup final, beat them 3-1. I think it was 3-1?
3-1 in extra
3-1
time.
in extra time, yeah, which is fantastic. That other mob had a cracking day because Hearts under-18s beat them 4-1 in the under-18s cup final as well, I believe. So
The
so they
14th
had but we
so
don't.
beat them as well. So
And they
Sorry?
were in 3 cup finals and
They
they
were
won
in-
lost all of them.
yeah, they were in the 14th, 16th, and 18th, and they lost all 3 finals. So
What a shame. Anyway, let's concentrate on the 16s because that's the one that we actually won. So I don't know. I know you have seen a bit of the 16s. I don't know how much you've seen of them recently, Laura. But I mean, it's a tremendous result. I mean, you said on your own podcast, it just shows that the academy's got more players, heading in the right direction, if you like.
yeah, we've not been able to see them as much because of the way games have been scheduled, but we know some of the players from going and seeing them like last season and that, and it's just kind of they're doing more of the same as last season. They've moved up, they're still winning trophies, they're still beating that mob, so it's good to get them starting young, beating them. So long may it continue.
Yeah, Carl, your thoughts along the same lines, I'd imagine.
Well, yeah, of course, but we got someone sent off early doors, like in the first half, to then come back and win it 3-1 in extra time is just the tenacity of any Rangers team that you expect against them, or any team, but against them, you'd expect it to go and lift the cup against them 3-1 after getting someone sent off. It's exactly what you need. But we know a few of the young players in there, and there is a real top talent in there. So in a few years, we'll be seeing them coming through and being the next Mia McCauley, Laura Berry, Kirsty McLean. I could name half the team, but it's good to see the academy's working. It's exactly what we want. We want to keep producing more top talent, whether they stay with us or go elsewhere and gets a bit of money. It's exactly what it's there for, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's never nice to hear of a Rangers player getting sent off, but if you're getting sent off playing against that other lot, then hopefully it's for something worth getting sent off for. I'll maybe need to try and catch footage of that. I'll need to try and catch some highlights of that somewhere. But I mean, as you say, to come back for playing that amount of the game with a player light and come and especially if it goes extra time, that's when it usually starts struggling if your player's short. But fantastic, long may that continue. Another piece of silverware for the cabinet. Hopefully, after next Sunday, we're still in with a shout of adding another cup to our League Cup that we're going to win in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully. So before we go, folks, if you are planning going to Meadowbank next week, I would jump on to the Hibs ticket site and buy your ticket soon because there was a decent attendance yesterday. I would expect it to be possibly be more next week, given that the men's first team are playing later on in the afternoon, although it is considerably later on in the afternoon. I'd imagine there will be a few people planning doing both. And then obviously there's still tickets available for the cup final at Tynecastle in a couple of weeks, which we'll all be in attendance at in various different parts of the stand because some of us are going hospitality. I just thought I'd throw that in. Only because my missus wants to do it. So anyway, I'm just rambling now. So apologies that Bryan couldn't get on, and I had to jump in. So it was a bit kind of ad hoc at the beginning because I really wasn't prepared to be hosting it, but we got there. So my thanks as always to Laura.
Thank you.
And to Cara.
Thanks, Will. Good host.
Okay. Thanks very much. I shall see you ladies in the
Sunday.
flesh, so to speak, early on Sunday. I might even bring in the breakfast. There you go. How's that for you? I might even bring in the breakfast. That's if I can find my way into McDonald's, which is just across the road.
I'm sure you're bad.
Well, Debbie's not with me on Sunday, so I don't have my runner this week, so I need to do it myself, which is a bit of a downer. But anyway, we'll worry about that later in the week. We can sort that out later on in the week. So thanks a lot for your company tonight, folks. There's loads of stuff coming out on the Ramble. There'll be post-match and pre-match stuff from the men's game in Lisbon on Thursday. I won't be on either of them because I'll be in Lisbon. Well, as you do, there'll also be the pod on Friday, which I won't be on because I won't be back from Lisbon in time. Then they'll do their Saturdays. No, they won't do the Saturday stuff because the game's on Sunday. Then we'll be at the game on Sunday. So if you are at the game on Sunday at Meadowbank, feel free to come and speak to us. We don't bite. Laura does if she's in a bad mood, but Sunday morning early doors, she should be okay. So anyway, thanks a lot, folks. We shall catch you again on the other side. Goodbye.